Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new feature on SmugFace Entertainment, which I will be calling SmugFace Commentaries, where I take a single episode of an established TV show or animated show and go through a single episode from start to finish. I am choosing Return of the Technodrome from TMNT 87. And there's a particular reason I'm choosing this one, as it's the first time I'm trying commentaries. I thought I'd go with something sort of straightforward, and that's the very first episode that I ever watched from this show. I believe I watched it around 1990, if my memory serves me correctly. I had just come over from Nigeria on a holiday with the family, and this was available on VHS. So I nagged my mother. She bought the VHS for me. So here we are. Return of the Technodrome from TMNT 87. Here we go. Return of the Technodrome, written by Michael Reeves. Okay, so we're just opening up to April working at Channel 6 News. Emma walks by asking if she's going to see the turtles because she had this very weird obsession about falling in love with them. I don't know how that would have worked in a relationship, but anyway, that's besides the point. So anyway, it's a slow news day. Byrne comes storming in and basically tells April, go out there and find some newsworthy stories. Emma is begging to go with her, and she gets immediately shut down because the turtles are not the biggest thing in her life, but apparently Norma's are the biggest thing in hers. She's a weird lady. Anyway, we cut to the turtles in the lair. Splinter's about to go on a retreat, and the turtle's asking why he needs to go, but Splinter's just saying, I choose to go. April comes in and asks, oh, what's going on? Is Shredder trying to take over the world? But at this point it's quite quiet. And then she asks Splinter about his little retreat, and he says it's just an annual program, nothing special. So April's able to get her story, much to her disappointment. Of course, Raph comes in and says something's bound to happen. Cue the sweep to Shredder, Krang, Rocksteady, and Bebop. Krang is in Dimension X, and he's basically scolding Shredder for yet another failure. Shredder is begging for forgiveness to get another chance, and he says no. This time, if I want something done right, I have to do it myself. So he decides he's going to bring the Technodrome to Earth and order Shredder to begin a plan, which is to take over Niagara Falls, to power up the Technodrome and bring it from Dimension X onto Earth. Now, I have to pivot and say, when I first watched this particular episode, and I'm listening to Shredder, and I don't think I'd watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air yet, but for some reason it stuck in my head. And then years later, when I'm watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air actually came out that very year, 1990, when I watched this episode. I remember thinking the voice just stood out to me for some reason. And then when I watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and I saw the credits, James Avery, I'm like, oh, that's Uncle Phil. Where have I seen that name before? And then it turns out it was on Ninja Turtles, this show. And I'm going through all the characters, the good guys, the bad guys, and I finally land on Shredder. Ah, that makes sense. Anyway, away from the pivot now, and Krang is getting ready to bring the Technodrome to Earth, so Shredder and his forces storm Niagara Falls and take over the power plant, holding it hostage and preparing it for their evil deeds, which is to bring the Technodrome back to Earth. He's using a device called the Polarity Deflector. Now, is that really a thing? I need to go Google that, because I'm not sure if it is. Anyway, the Polarity Deflector is what's going to help with the energy being siphoned from the power plant into the Technodrome. Let's fast forward to the Turtles, and they're seeing Splinter off as he goes on his retreat. He's going on his retreat, and they wave him goodbye. Just as they're about to head back home, April hits the Turtlecom and reports about a massive power surge. Raph, with his sardonic wit, oh, you just had to open your big mouth. Anyway, the power surge that the Technodrome is siphoning off from the power plant has caused a power blackout in all of New York City. And immediately the Turtles deduce it's Shredder, Krang at work. So with Splinter away, the Turtles decide, or rather Leonardo decrees that they have to go and put an end to this. Anyway, we're back on this scene now where the Technodrome is siphoning off the energy from the power plant and getting stronger and stronger by the minute. Krang says the Turtles will be after you, Shredder, so what I'm going to do is send you a contingent of foot soldiers and rock soldiers. At this point, Shredder had pretty much been working with just Bebop and Rocksteady, And no more foot soldiers or rock soldiers, so this time he's getting a full army, so Shredder's delighted at this point. Just watching the rock soldiers and the foot soldiers make their way to the power plant, Shredder is more than delighted. There's a little dialogue he uses here, hang on.
Shredder calling Krang, come in Krang.
That was a running joke, Shredder calling Krang. It's a little joke from my little childhood that me and some old friends, some childhood friends, were messing about when we first watched this episode. Anyway, back to the Turtles in April. Donatello has tuned in to the sound waves and he's come across Shredder and Krang having their little conversation, and he works out that they're planning on doing something big with the Technodrome, bringing it back to Earth. Michelangelo with his great line here.
The Technodrome? Mega disaster!
And Leonardo chiming in with his,
We've got to stop it! We're the only hope the world has! Turtle power!
when I watch it back in retrospect, he was quite annoying actually with his over-the-top stoicness. Anyway, we fast forward to the Turtle Blimp, a very brightly coloured Turtle Blimp for a team full of ninjas, even though they're supposed to be, secret. Anyway, they're flying over Niagara Falls and they're checking what's going out, and they're checking out what's going on with the power outage. And not too far away, Splinter senses that presence, and he goes and heads into the line of battle. Anyway, back to the Technodrome. The Technodrome is almost fully powered and almost entering Earth. The Turtles are meanwhile patrolling, or rather they're flying over Niagara Falls, and they come across Bebop and some foot soldiers patrolling the area. Bebop shoots and separates the Turtle Blimp from the glider, with the Blimp floating away into the air and the glider landing into the falls. Now I have to say, the Turtle Blimp on a number of occasions got, should we say, shot at or damaged, and it always seemed to come back as good as new. Inconsistencies. Anyway, the Turtles are looking like they're going to meet their demise until some quick thinking by Donatello, getting the, I think it's the remote, is that the remote? Yeah, the remote. I don't know where the remotes come from, anyway, to get the Blimp to come down from the sky and rescue them, leaving the glider to fall over the falls, and the Turtles jump and get to safety on dry land. I love the little banter about, oh, could you have left it any closer? That was Raph's little thing throughout the whole series, his always sardonic wit. Anyway, the Turtles have landed on dry ground, and Splinter has caught up with them, and they all see what's going on, and the Technodrome is rapidly approaching Earth. So they have to come up with a plan. So they're sitting there thinking, oh, okay, what can we do now? Leonardo coming up with we've got to stop it. His usual lines. Of course, because there's a lot of technology involved, Donatello usually is the one coming up with some of the ideas. Anyway, they're planning, and in the meanwhile, Krang and Shredder are just, well, rather Krang is getting ready to lift the Technodrome, and it's almost on the verge of coming back to Earth. So apparently all they have to do is close off the rivers to the power stations, which would stop the Technodrome from being powered up. But of course it's not that straightforward, and they have to come up with a plan to split up and get into the Technodrome somehow. Cue this bit right here. Donatello and Michelangelo take on the rock soldier and the foot soldier before Donatello gets cranked, or not cranked over the head. He whacks the foot soldier and just shakes like a little ping pong. Now this bit, Michelangelo comes in with his nunchucks. It was actually edited out of the British version because Michelangelo's nunchuck scenes were banned, considered violent. Here we go, the Turtles spring to action, knocking the rock soldier and the foot soldier into the water. I just want to go back to what I was saying about Michelangelo's nunchuck scenes. Yes, they were heavily edited, so any scenes you see with him chucking his nunchucks are just completely cut out completely. We move over to the next group, Raph and Leo, as they take on Rocksteady, who manages to shoot his own soldiers. He thinks he's almost done until Rocksteady knocks Leonardo off him after getting tackled. Rocksteady is about to pulverize Leon Wrath before Splinter jumps out of the bushes and knocks him out with some sleeping spice. I wonder how he made that. Did he have that in him, or sorry, did he have it within his outfit, or did he just take some sand and have some potion? I don't know how he did this stuff. Anyway, the Turtles in April and Splinter all reunite, and Donatello manages to shut off the waterfalls. The power is immediately cut off, much to Shredder and Krang's anger and frustration. So Krang has to use secondary power and get through the portal without the Niagara Falls, as it's temporarily been shut down. So basically all that planning from Donatello and the Turtles, and the Technodrome still got through. Anyway, Shredder and Bebop have to go round up some foot soldiers and go corner the Turtles before they escape. Looks like we're about to have a showdown between the Turtles and Shredder, Bebop, and the foot soldiers. Oh, and can I just point out, Michelangelo is chucking his nunchucks again. This part was edited out of the British version. Anyway, right on cue, the Technodrome has finally come back to Earth from Dimension X and is getting ready to attack the Turtles, all in their sight. And to make it even worse for the Turtles, they now have to deal with not just the Technodrome and Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady, but an even bigger contingent of foot soldiers and rock soldiers, which basically surrounds them, and it looks like this is like in the thousands. So it looks like they're about to be done for when Shredder's about to have them get executed, until Krang goes, "Nope, I want this pleasure for myself," telling everyone to back up as he prepares the Technodrome's lasers to obliterate the Turtles, April, and Splinter once and for all. Just enjoying this bit here now. Here we are. The Technodrome is getting ready to power up, and the Turtles are facing their impending doom, with Splinter going, "Do not despair, because in life there's always hope." With April chiming in, "Well, my hope is that you're right." Krang's about to do the dirty deed, and then the power shuts down. And that gives the Turtles a little window of opportunity to fight their way through, springing into action. Knocking down the rock soldiers and the foot soldiers. Now, this is something I didn't know, and that was this. Leonardo deflecting a laser beam from his katana blade. When I first saw that as a kid, I was like, whoa, that is some next level stuff. Because I never saw it in the films, because, you know, that wasn't the case in the films. So that was actually a cool moment. Anyway, the Turtles managed to escape. Donatello operates the blimp once again. And the Turtles, April, and Splinter fly their way to safety. Shredder jumping up and down like a baboon here. That was actually quite funny when I was a kid. I have to say, James Avery's take on Shredder was comical, but it's probably my favourite animated version of the Shredder ever. You know, there was just something he did about that character that made him... He was a bad guy, but he was fun to watch. You always loved it whenever Shredder appeared, because it means you got to hear James Avery's dulcet tones. Anyway, the Turtles escape, and they find a nice safe spot, and they have to make plans to take Shredder and Krang down once and for all, but unfortunately Splinter goes, there's nothing much they can do because they need to know of their plans, and by the time they learn of their plans it's probably too late. And of course Shredder and Krang have powered up the Technodrome, it's in full operation, and then their plan now is to drill down into the core of New York City, underground, causing an earthquake. An earthquake which will send the residents into panic and force them to evacuate the city so they can use it for their own needs. Shredder loves the idea, and Krang thinks, did you have any choice? I have to say though, even though Shredder's like the main villain, Krang was more of the boss. He was like the main boss, and then Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady were like the henchmen. That's how it came across. Anyway, back to the earthquake, where the residents of New York have been threatened by Krang saying, leave or this city will be decimated with you in it. So of course the turtles see this after experiencing the earthquake for themselves, and now it's time to spring into action. And Splinter chimes in with a great line here.
And so begins the final battle.
So they found a massive hole on the ground which the Technodrome has left a trail. Now this part in the British version was actually cut, so what happened was they're walking ahead and they just see the Technodrome and already there's a massive hole in it. But how did that hole get there? Well, there was a scene that was cut where Donatello has, I think it's a ninja star, an explosive ninja star where he will throw at any object and it'll explode, creating a hole. So they approach and Donatello throws the star and nothing happens for a few seconds, and then boom, and there's the hole. So when I was younger, I never understood how the hole got there. So now we know. The Brit version of Ninja Turtles was heavily edited because they thought it was a bit too violent. Not too sure what's too violent about this, but there you go. Anyway, the Turtles have broken into the Technodrome, which has now set off an alarm. And of course, Krang and Shredder are aware, and now they go off to face the Turtles. So something happens here where it's almost Star Wars like. Splinter can sense Shredder's presence, so he goes to confront him one-on-one, leaving the Turtles to go and shut down the Technodrome once and for all. Shredder also senses Splinter, and then he goes to confront him. So it's a one-on-one situation with Shredder and Splinter. Almost Star Wars like, with Luke meeting Darth Vader. Bebop and Rocksteady, I have to say, man, they became like comic relief. They were a bit threatening in the first few episodes when you see them, but then over time they just became comic relief. Okay, so Donatello is trying to rewire the Technodrome so he can reverse the seismic polarity, meaning it will sink into the ground. Okay, here's the scene between Shredder and Splinter, which, as I said, straight out of Star Wars, Luke versus Vader. Although in this particular episode, he calls him Hamatoyoshi, and I don't think he did that as much in some of the episodes prior. I know it happened a few times in the first few episodes, but in this particular episode, he just refers to him as Hamatoyoshi and him as Rokusaki, the Shredder. So yeah, almost. I don't know if that... Actually, no, it wasn't a take on the movie because I don't think the movie had actually come out at this point. I'll have to check my timelines on that, but I don't think it had quite come out. But I just found it odd that they were using their names. Anyway, fast forward, the Turtles are battling Bebop and Rocksteady and the rest of the foot soldiers, and Donatello has managed to achieve his goal of reversing the seismic polarity so the Technodrome can sink. But Bebop and Rocksteady and the soldiers are tied up, and the Turtles make a quick getaway. So Krang thinks that, okay, the citizens have not listened to a word he said, so what's he going to do? He's going to cause the earthquake and level everything. But of course now, because of Donatello's meddling, he can't get it done. Fast forward to Shredder and Splinter, and they have a little tepid fight before the bridge they're on is split in half by a laser beam, and Splinter's able to crawl to safety, and Shredder's left hanging by his cape. And the whole Technodrome is already beginning to shake, so slowly but surely it's sinking into the ground. But as the Turtles and April have left, they've completely forgot about Splinter and the hole they've made. He just makes out in the last split second. The Turtles are triumphant, the Technodrome sinks into the Earth's core, Krang is powerless to stop it, and it falls into a huge vat of lava. And I have to say, the metal that Technodrome is made of must be very powerful because the thing doesn't melt. And I think this was the final episode of season 2. It was 13 episodes, and it may have seemed that all the Turtles have completely triumphed over Shredder, no more Shredder. And that's it. The Turtles celebrate their victory back home the only way they know how, with a lot of pizza. And April is deducing that the world was saved by 4 half-teenagers, half-turtles, a half-man, a half-rat, and she's the only 100% human being in this whole thing. To which Michelangelo replies, nobody's perfect. A little gag and end of the show. Okay, so that was my first attempt at a commentary. The very first ever episode of the 87 Ninja Turtles show that I watched, I was a huge Ninja Turtles mark. Any time I could watch the Turtles, I would go to it wherever possible, whether it was nagging my mother to get VHS tape or going over to friends who had their own recordings of it. Remember, this was in the 1990s, early 1990s in fact, so there was no internet or so. There was no the Blu-rays, there was no streaming services, so like it was a very different time back then. So yeah, my first attempt at the commentary, you probably heard I'm probably stumbling over myself a little bit here, but I'm just trying to react naturally as I see. Usually when I do my videos, it's because I have a script and I follow it word for word. I have no script this time. It's just me talking and you guys listening. If you wanted to follow on, yeah, you could do Return of the Technodrome. It's season 2, episode 13 of the Ninja Turtles 87 show. So yeah, that was my first attempt. Hopefully I will be doing some more. It'll be a lot like this one, just naturally reacting to it. I'm not like those other YouTubers like Oliver Harper or Serial Geek where they're very knowledgeable about the show. I'm just going on a fan basis and I'm just reacting to the stuff I see and trying to go off my memory of how I first watched this episode. So there you have it, my first ever commentary on SmugFace Commentaries. It was Ninja Turtles season 2 episode 13, Return of the Technodrome. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back for more commentaries. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and if you want to see more, please remember to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.